Hello, welcome to TechnoChubby.com's video blog. This is part 2 of our new server media center install. I am the Joe.
And I'm Sally. How you doing?
And we are going to be talking about the parts. We made a fries run.
Yep, always an occasion in our house.
And we got all of the parts that we think is going to work for our media center and that we blogged about on TechnoChubby.com. Starting off, we went with an Intel Core 2 Quad, forget how to word that properly, Quad Core Q6600 processor.
Okay, why is there a specific reason you went with the quad core?
Well, because we could afford it. No.
No one said TechnoChubbies were inexpensive.
Right. But actually, one of the things that I want to point out is that we made the choice of going with Intel versus the AMD Phenoms. And, you know, I'll be honest with you, this is my first experience with the quad-core type of processors. And we went with the Intel versus AMD because I heard that the Phenoms had some kind of bug. And, you know, I'm a simple man. I just want to get this done and working properly. And so, and the Intels have gotten rave reviews, so we're going to give it a go and see how it works out. If it doesn't work out, we can always go back and try an AMD.
Yeah, I mean, why are you going to want to build a server with a bug in it if it's going to be at that hardcore level?
Right. But, you know, the fact that it's quad-core definitely gives us a TechnoChubby.
Yes, it does.
So next, we went with an Asus Maximus Formula motherboard.
Okay. Asus, you been a fan of Asus?
For a long time.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I've been a big fan of Asus and A-Bit. I go back and forth because some years one is better than the other. Hopefully for me, this is going to be one of the last real boxes that I make. And I did a little bit of research, and I wanted kind of a no-frills but high-end motherboard. This thing really doesn't have any major frills. You know, Asus over the last few years has been adding, you know, Wi-Fi and onboard video out and whatnot. And, you know, I just kind of wanted just basically a simple high-end motherboard that would support the processor that had some pretty good reviews. We went on Tom's Hardware and Antech, and it looked like they liked this in some of the forums we've read. So we're going to give it a go.
And this is kind of something that you feel suits you best for for a server? It kind of looks like, well, I mean, one of the things that it comes with is this, like, full version of Stalker, which you don't care about.
Right.
Seems like more of a gaming board.
Well, let me back up a minute. You know, Zell, you keep saying server, and in essence, yes, this is a server, but I kind of want to make clear that we are not going to be using server operating system. You know, I don't feel that that's necessary anymore. We are planning on going towards, we're going to be installing Windows Vista 64 Ultimate, and we're going to talk about that more later on, but the choices that we're making is that this system could be a really high-end or mid to high-end gaming box. But because part of the functions and whatnot that I want this box to be able to do is going to be involving a lot of entertainment and media serving, so to speak. I don't feel that it's necessary anymore to have, say, like Windows Server 2003 or necessarily was ever for the home use. But, you know, the purpose of this box is going to be for mainly Windows Media Center. It will be, you know, some minor video editing. Just a really cool box that we can have hooked up to the TV. But it will have file server functionalities and serve up files for the rest of us. So, yes, I kind of went with a gaming motherboard, and that's the reason why. I'm sure that the full version of Stalker would get used by Zelig over here, because he loves to do those kind of things.
I'm a big first-person shooter freak, so, you know, ever since, like, my brother sat me down at his computer and we played Doom, so yes.
Cool. So, moving on.
All right.
We decided on RAM. We were originally going to pull the RAM out of the old box, but I kind of want to keep that running. So, we went with 8 gigabytes of Patriot. Jesus, we just bought it, so I don't even, you know. It's a Patriot PDC 24G6400 LLK. Its latency is 44412. To be honest with you, I was kind of hoping to get some really cool Corsairs with the blades and whatnot, but I am an instant gratification kind of guy, and this was the best memory for the price at Fry's, and I went out and bought it.
Okay, you were talking about something, the difference between DDR2 and DDR3 as far as like price versus value for that.
Right. One of the decisions that I went through right now was, and one of the reasons why I chose the Maximus motherboard, is that I think the DDR3 memory at this point in time, which is early February 2008, is fairly new, and so the price is there, and I don't like to pay the bleeding edge prices, so to say. So I would rather buy, say, high-end DDR2, which is still very good memory, instead of paying the premium for the DDR3 memory, which is like 2.5 to 3 times more expensive than the DDR2 memory. And from my understanding on the Asus site and some of the reviews that I've read on the Maximus board, is they have some DDR2 enhancing memory pipeline, and they did some tests, and the Maximus board running quick DDR2 memory versus DDR3, for me the performance difference on the numbers that they showed was not enough for me to choose DDR3 or pay the difference for the DDR3 over the DDR2.
So, we go with DDR2 for now, with this.
Yes. So, the next we went with video card. We went with an XFX 8800 GT. This was my second choice video card, but again, I'm an instant gratification guy, and Fry's had this. So my first choice was an EVGA, which I've had lots of EVGA 8800 GT, and I've had lots of good experience with EVGA in the past. And they didn't, XFX, which is a company I'm not familiar with yet. I've never used any of their products, but I've read several places that this was a good company. Their cards are good, and so I decided to give them a go.
Mm-hmm.
You got any questions about that one?
No, well, let's see. So this thing, since this is basically going to be doing the media center stuff, what were some of the things that you asked with this over, like, say, like the GTX, or I know this can handle, like, well, this is HDR lighting, but you needed this, for the pure video HD technology?
Right. One of the things is that we are going to be hooking this up to a TV that can support 1080p. That translates into computer terms. Resolution-wise, 1920 by 1080. And I wanted to be able to have a video card that could output at that resolution and have it look crystal clear. I went on Wikipedia and a bunch of places researching the difference between the 8800 GT versus the GTX versus the Ultra. I was surprised to find that the 8800 GT was released almost a year after the first 8800s came out. And for the price, which was in the high 200 range, versus the Ultra and the GTX, which are over $400, the GT performance-wise was close enough, and I was happy. And so I like good stuff, but and I don't mind paying for good stuff, but I'd like to get value for my money, and it looked like the GT had the best value. One of the other things that I've seen out there on the forums, and I'm just quoting, is one of the other directions I was thinking of going, because the 8600 GT is half the price, less than half the price, and I was going to go with two 8600 GTs in an SLI configuration versus one 8800 GT. And clearly on Wikipedia and some of the other websites talking about, that were quoting numbers, and I don't want to quote the numbers and get them wrong, so you'll have to Google that or look it up on Wikipedia. But roughly, the conclusion was that the 8800 GT by itself was, in terms of what it can do numbers-wise, was 2 to 3 times more than the 8600 GT. At least that's the conclusion that I came up with. So we went with the 8800 GT.
And there was another thing about this. You said before, this isn't just going to be a file server. It's going to be more like a, it's going to be able to serve media files and everything. But with this kind of card, you could put something on the TV, like, you're a big MMO freak.
Yeah, to be honest with you, as tempting as it sounds, and probably we'll do this, is that we are definitely going to put some games on this and check it out.
Yes.
I would like to refrain from keeping it, I would like to keep it to its base features, but, we've got to play.
TechnoChubby, you got it.
And so, yeah, we'll see, and we'll see how it goes.
All right.